It's always awkward to talk about green brands when we live in a consumer society, in a capitalist society where it's driven by consumption. So let's just get some of those things out on the table. 16% of the people in the world are responsible for most of the consumption. So we have to recognize we have a key role as consumers. The present level of consumption demands 50% more natural resources than the earth is able to supply. If everyone consumed at the ability of the top 16%, then 5 Earths would not be sufficient. And so a new pattern of consumption is needed. Challenge is that people don't want to reduce our current perception of well being. We don't want to give up what we have, but there are ways that that can change. Small actions taken on by large numbers can be very impactful. We saw what happened during COVID-19 when people stopped driving. The, the, the air got better. Animals started coming out in the streets because they were safer. So we can see small actions can be impactful. One person who turns off the tap during toothbrushing can save an Olympic swimming pool of water every year. And reducing beef consumption can also save water. So what can brands do to change some consumer activities and habits? And that's what we're going to look at in this movie. So one thing companies can do is to create more sustainable products and then help consumers understand why these products work best for them. The fact that brands are taking action can be highly motivating. Unilever, as a company which has dozens and dozens of brands, they pledge to have their plastic use by 2025 from 700,000 tons to 350,000 tons. They're going to start selling concentrated refills, so they're going to stop selling detergent with lots of water in it and sell it more as a concentration. And they're going to increase their use of recycled plastic for packaging and also sell products in packaging that can be reused. Packaging is a huge source of waste. And we saw a number of grocery stores in the UK get together to find ways that as an industry they could change packaging waste. One company, Sainsbury's, a grocery store, is selling milk in returnable glass bottles. Another store, Tesco, has banned brands in the store that use excessive packaging. The company Nestle is making all of their packaging reusable or recyclable by 2025. And so that's also companies, groceries in the UK are starting to look closely at products with GMOs and see whether those should be banned. Time when it was popular for companies to buy a green company as a way to get your green credentials. Clorox, the bleach company, did this with Burt's Bees. But a better idea is to start with the core. Um, if you're a brand that has an iconic product, start with that iconic product and see if you can make it greener. And one CEO, the CEO of the sandal company Teva, said, kick over the big rock first and fix the thing that people know you most for. So we'll think about that when we look at a Teva sandal. Teva overhauled the production ingredients, materials of this shoe, their classic sandal that they sell the most of. Now use recycled polyester webbing from plastic bottles that would otherwise end up in landfills. They use vegan alternatives to leather, and they've increased their use of Forest Stewardship Council paper in their packaging. I wanted to talk a little bit about the ugly food movement, and this is a reaction to the huge amount of waste that we have when we shop in the grocery store. When we go to the grocery store as shoppers, we see lots of apples that look exactly the same, lots of bananas without bruises. And that's not because the fruit is all perfect, it's because grocery stores will only buy perfect looking vegetables and produce from farmers. And so farmers get stuck with having lots of food that they cannot sell. So, on an individual level, we only can buy what we have offered. On an institutional level, stores are choosing to not show us lots of different types of food. And on a systemic level, farmers are not allowed to sell all the food that they have to sell because stores don't think consumers will buy it. So we're in this kind of vicious cycle of food waste because of the way the system has been set up. There are now a variety of different companies that sell um, food that isn't perfect, ugly food, via subscription boxes to consumers. And this is one called Inglorious Food, and we can see their messages. A grotesque apple a day keeps the doctor away as well. Eat 5 a day, weird fruits and vegetables. The ugly carrot in a soup, who cares? So all these are trying to show that even though the produce doesn't look like produce you might see at the grocery store, it's just as good and less expensive because these food subscription box companies are buying the ugly food from wholesalers who can't sell it to a grocery store. A disfigured eggplant, so cheap it could be even more disfigured. A hideous orange makes beautiful juice. Another company, Imperfect Produce, redefining beauty in produce because all fruits and veggies deserve to be loved. Ugly produce, nice price. So then they really start focusing on the price benefit. Um, Together we can fight food waste. So bringing people together as a community. So doing all kinds of interesting things in the messages to get people's awareness. So then a few other things focusing on how it looks and how that's okay. Ugly but juicy, ugly but lovely. Looks odd, tastes great. Ugly and damn proud of it. So raising awareness of this food crisis and finding ways to get ugly food to consumers. And all these groups are being um, very successful in reaching consumers, especially during COVID-19 when it was some people didn't want to even go to the grocery store but wanted produce. And so we can see that these companies, little by little, are starting to change this huge problem of food waste. So I think it's interesting to see the consistent messages across these different companies um, executed in different ways that are really starting to change consumer behavior.